All right, today we're going to talk about the most effective way that you can address your low testosterone issues, and then maybe a little personal experience with it myself. So, number one symptom, fatigue. Sometimes people are having trouble with sleep, low dopamine issues as a result of the low testosterone, which would include low drive, depression, low motivation, low libido. All of the good stuff that comes with having adequate levels of testosterone, you get the resulting symptoms of having low testosterone. So, number one, you're not making enough. And why aren't you making enough? Well, that's either because of stress. So if you looked at a chart on how to make testosterone, it all starts as cholesterol. All steroid hormones do, in fact, even estrogen and progesterone, which us guys don't seem to care much about, but we'll talk about estrogen in a little bit as well. But if your body's too busy producing cortisol, it's shunting its resources towards making more stress hormones than it is making testosterone. So that's the first mechanism that stress can induce low testosterone. But the second mechanism is in fact that it actually inhibits its production basically inhibits the pituitary gland's production of LH, which is also what drives dopamine and testosterone. So stress is probably the number one cause of low testosterone. Stress is a general term. Aside from just emotional stress, the most common cause of low testosterone would be blood sugar related stress. Now, that could be either high blood sugar or low, and we'll talk about the impacts of both of those in a little bit. So if you're not making enough, it could be that you are shunting it, or it's getting stolen, so to speak, by your cortisol production, or it's being inhibited by cortisol itself. So if it's not a stress-related issue, then perhaps it's just a cofactor issue. So it's required, you need fats, you need protein, and you need vitamins and minerals to make testosterone. That usually goes without saying. Well, in my personal experience, what happened to me was I followed a bodybuilding, low-fat, high-carb diet and then dwindled the carbs down for contest prep. And that's not a good combination for testosterone. And me feeling like I was in my peak condition, decided to get blood work just to see, because I knew when I was 40 or 50 years old, I'd want to redo blood work and see what my testosterone was. So I wanted to see what my peak was, assuming this was my peak. Well, my total testosterone was in the 400s, low 400s. I think it was like 420. So what I did was freak out. And then after I got done freaking out, I decided to do the opposite. So I went high fat, low carb. So I actually went keto. And I don't think that keto is the answer to every issue or every testosterone based issue. But the reason why it worked for me, and my testosterone went up over 200 points in 6 to 8 weeks, was that I wasn't eating enough fat. So I didn't have adequate levels of fat to even make enough testosterone. I should say this is my theory, or the reason why it would make sense. I don't need to go keto to get more fats. I just had to eat more fats. And then the other thing was, aside from being in a very catabolic state where there's a lot of stress hormones involved with contest prep, was that I was having also a blood sugar issue. So when I got my blood work done, I also saw that my blood glucose, my fasting glucose, was in the upper 60s, which is low. They don't flag it until it's below 60, but the functional range is 85. So anything below that's actually driving stress hormone production to bring the blood sugar up. So your body's actually fighting to bring your blood sugar up. So I had two major drivers of low testosterone. I wish I had done another one 8 weeks after that, but at that point, I thought that everything was fixed because it was keto. I kind of did a reset and everything was going to be good. But I'll have to do this experiment again someday. But for now, these are my recommendations for that. Alternatively, if it's that you are making plenty, but what's happening is it's getting driven into not cortisol, but estrogen. You're aromatizing too much estrogen. And if that's the case, it's almost always caused by either stress or insulin. So again, it comes down to blood sugar stability, which is also going to impact the stress hormones. Which is why when we come down here, the biggest impact you can have is just addressing a blood sugar issue. So if you have a blood sugar issue and low testosterone issues, I'm almost certain if you address this blood sugar issue, the testosterone levels would start to normalize. So how do we address blood sugar stability? And how do you know what blood sugar issue you have? Because technically you could be high or you could be low, but for this discussion, I'm just going to say, even if in my case, I was low, if I were to eat oatmeal, or if I were to eat just a banana for breakfast, I'd get a blood sugar spike, and then I would crash again. So I'd get a surge of insulin, which not only drives excessive estrogen production, it also drives inflammation, which will shut down this whole thing too. All of that to go without saying. Just eating 3 meals, 5 hours apart, balanced meals with, I'm not saying to go keto and I'm not saying to go low fat, I'm saying to eat balanced. So good fats, good protein, anchored in good protein and good fats. And you can still have carbohydrate. Just don't eat them by themselves. Make sure that it's anchored in good protein, good fat. This is just good metabolic practice. And you'd be surprised at the impact this has on testosterone, but as well as your thyroid hormone. People almost always start feeling better pretty quick. The nice thing about these metabolic issues is they do respond within weeks, not within years, even though some of these took years to develop. 3 meals, 5 hours apart. So if on that second meal you're starving, you need to do better with the first meal. If anything, you need to eat the biggest meal in the beginning of the day and then taper off throughout the rest of the day. People always ask about fasting. Fasting drives stress hormone production. Actually, when I did this, I was doing fasting. So I was doing intermittent fasting. I was just doing 1 meal a day. So I was actually doing something that may not have been ideal, but because I was eating enough in that time, I was able to compensate. Maybe I would have done even better if I didn't fast. But you can do it while fasting. It's just a lot harder. So either way, you need to find stability in your blood sugar. However you choose to do that, it will have an impact on your testosterone. So supplements that people like to take for testosterone, people on TikTok are all talking about ashwagandha. The reason why adaptogens, ashwagandha, can have an impact on your testosterone would be because of its impact on stress hormone production. Does it just magically stop stress hormone production? No, what it does is it calms your adrenals down, whether you are producing too many stress hormones or not enough. Adaptogens adapt to that, so not only does it help you chill out at night and reduce stress hormones at that point of the day, which would help increase testosterone by its inhibition of stress hormones, it doesn't directly drive testosterone. Only will it help is if you had this particular issue with testosterone. So, and in the morning, it could help with energy because it could help you drive stress hormone production. So, depending on your situation, you want to take adaptogens during your symptomatic periods, or you can spread it out throughout the day. Okay, whether you choose ashwagandha, tulsi, rhodiola, whatever you choose to do, ashwagandha is the most popular one and most well-researched out there, so that's probably why most people will be using that. Zinc is a very common cofactor deficiency required to make testosterone, so that's why I throw that on there. Zinc for your dink, as they say. Vitamin E, you should look into vitamin E with any sex hormone issue and look at all the cool things that vitamin E can do. It works very synergistically with testosterone and can help drastically improve hormone issues, the sex hormone issues, whether you're male or female for that matter, which is why I decided to include these 3 because they have the biggest impact on the most amount of people. Not that it will, magically fix everyone's issue. My priority is not the supplements, but addressing what's driving the issue that requires the supplements to begin with. So stabilize the blood sugar. You can always support with these nutrients here. But if you have any questions, always comment below, or you can send me an email at doc@drtoddanderson.com. Check out my website. I've got a lot of articles on there now. This is the first video I have on testosterone issues, but it's usually a pretty straightforward fix. So if you have any suggestions for future videos, comment that below as well. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we'll see you in the next one.